Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Meunier, and I work for ARM as a software ecosystem development manager in the infrastructure line of business. I'm here today with Dara Grealish, CTO and co-founder of 56K Cloud, to talk about the integration work done by ARM and 56K Cloud team to bring the security project Parsec to the Greengrass ecosystem.
Thanks, Mark, for that introduction. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yes, I'm the CTO and co-founder of 56K Cloud, along with our team, and we've been, like you mentioned, working in embedded systems for some time, and also we've been enjoying our work with ARM the last week and a half. So yeah, I'm really glad that in this presentation we could bring the work together that we're doing in the context of Greengrass and our common partnership with AWS. It's fantastic that we can bring more value in the context of bringing cloud native to IoT through services like Greengrass, and the team has done a fantastic job in getting this demo together, and which we'll have a look at later.
All right, thanks, Dara. Let's jump right in. So cloud native development is the norm for rich application development. This is the case for cloud development, and ever more the case for Edge and IoT developments as well. The reasons are straightforward. It simplifies development and accelerates time to market. The flexibility to develop applications in the cloud and move them freely to end devices means you don't need to wait for the hardware to arrive in your lab to develop your code. You can leverage CI/CD and build a test framework to accelerate your development in the cloud and debug your devices without ever leaving your desk. It also facilitates collaborative development with your peers. The tools that AWS IoT Greengrass provide creates a similar development experience for both cloud and edge use cases. This environment is only possible with a framework of tools and foundational blocks that deals with the unique challenges inherent to edge devices when you compare them to the cloud environment. Edge and IoT is a fragmented ecosystem. It has a large diversity of security options and has a larger surface of attack compared to cloud development. This adds an additional level of complexity to the security framework required to maintain the highest level of security as your applications are deployed outside of the cloud. Here's where Parsec comes in. Parsec is a portable, uniform tool to deal with security operations at the edge. Parsec is a microservice, which means it can support more complex security operations like multi-tenancy security in systems with single access root of trust. Parsec deals with the intricacies of various root of trust systems with a library of unique provider modules. And on the client side, or the interface to the applications, Parsec exposes a uniform API, which is available in multiple languages to achieve portable security functions across diverse hardware. In the case of Greengrass, Parsec opens the door to a rich ecosystem of devices with security primitives rooted in various hardware root of trust, while being completely transparent to the developer. Parsec is an open source collaborative project that was originally started by Docker and ARM. Under the governance of the CNCF, the project is growing at an accelerating pace, with native integrations in a number of distros, interacting with a number of security projects, and being adopted by numerous commercial applications. Since Parsec is built with modular blocks, it can support custom security architectures from any device. This makes Parsec a great choice for future-proofing your architecture while ensuring the highest level of security available in your system. Developed in open source, the Parsec project is leveraged by ARM as part of our effort to facilitate cloud-native development at the edge. Project Cassini is the umbrella project that captures the three tenets: ARM system ready, which enables an OS to just boot, ARM PSA, which is a set of guidelines and a certification to ensure security best practices are followed, and Parsec, which builds on top of System Ready and PSA to provide cloud-native security functions required to scale deployments to various devices. I will now pass it over to Dara to go over the design with Greengrass 2.0 and run through a quick demo to show how Parsec integrates with Greengrass.
Thank you, Mark, for the introduction there. That was fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to shortly look at an actual implementation of this using Parsec as an extracted way of an agnostic interface to talk to security principles on your devices and to support the various crypto and security implementations that Greengrass require. And in this demo, we're going to walk through it in about 3-4 steps. So what we should be showing is we're showing standard installation of Greengrass. We'll be showing how that installs and provisions and registers as a thing described inside inside AWS. And in separate to that, we also have some of the keys being provisioned and the private key being stored, or Parsec facilitating the storage of that key in a security principle. Once we have those two building blocks in place, we're now going to consume that interface. Greengrass will consume that interface, and then we're going to shortly present it and show you the thing come up in AWS console. We'll do a short deployment and deploy a local debug console and a CLI client so we can actually access the device locally. And there we will be able to visualize and show the security background being provided for both the interface between MQTT and HTTP clients. And then finally, we'll close by showing the Parsec service. So let's go over and have a look at the console and actually walk you through this demo. So what I have here is a view of the Greengrass running along with Parsec. And what we're just going to do is we're actually just going to restart start Parsec. So in this context, Parsec has been provisioned with the private key. Now we need to start Greengrass, and Greengrass will consume that private key as I mentioned, to work with the facilitated communication with MQTT and HTTP. So let me just restart. So it's now starting. And in order to facilitate this demo, what we're doing is we're running Parsec in a container, and we're also running Greengrass Nucleus, the core service, also in a container. As you see, it starts up. There's a bit of here. You see the Parsec is through a JCA provider signature. So this is reading now the private key in order to sign its transaction to order to connect. Now we see the MQTT client coming up and they're successfully connecting. It's saying now it's successfully connected with Greengrass. So what I'm going to do is jump over to the AWS console, and we're going to see if this device is online. So here we're just in the AWS console in the Greengrass IoT area. Our thing name is called the Edge by Greengrass. So here we are just at the Greengrass AWS console, and here we can see the device is online. It's healthy. As I mentioned, it's an ARM Arch 64. It's running Greengrass 2.5. So from this version onwards, it's already supported. And there's currently 3 components deployed on this. What we're going to do is we're going to redeploy these components and trigger that interaction between MQTT and HTTP. So there's a lot more in this console. So for the purpose of the demo, we're just focusing on a short deployment. So let me just revise this deployment, and we call this reinvent demo console. Next. Don't make any changes to this. What we are going to look at later is the local debug console. We're going to use this as a way to visualize the process. So now if I just go over to Parsec, remember I mentioned now that we triggered a job. You can see now job added to queue. It's actually very responsive. It's quite quick. Once that queue is in there, it will start to now deploy it. And you can see on the right side, Parsec is being triggered to read the private key for the signing transactions. Now that the service has been deployed, we should see a local console come up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to provision local access. I'm going to get a password. And this also calls on the Parsec service, which is great. So one of the components we deployed here is just a local debug console. It's a way to run a local HTTP server and to visualize the deployment. And so now I'm going to just move over to this. We're going to look at this. There's three ways you can interact with Greengrass. You can interact with through the AWS console. You can interact with through a CLI interface, and you can interact with it with a debug console. And so in this debug console, we have to also, everything's about security here. Let me make a quick, here we go. In this debug console, a basic overview of what's running on the device and how the relationships are. So that's a typical kind of dependency graph in Java. But what we want to show here is we want to view the built-in components in Greengrass. And under that, we see here the crypto provider, the Parsec provider, which is then facilitating the interface into the Parsec as this abstracted interface towards your security principles. This, you see here, it's built in. As mentioned, we're just building it right now, so version 0.0. And also on the device, you can see RR64. And this information then maps what we have here in the AWS console, also on this the target device. So right here, so the information is transferred over. Let's look now at what happened there and how that relates to us using Parsec as a way to facilitate and secure the secure storage of those keys. Be advised, be aware that every service inside that's deployed, not just built-in components, but also components the user brings, also has the possibility to consume the cryptography, the Parsec provider. So what we saw in this demo, just to shortly show you, is about three things. On the right side here, we have the AWS cloud, and we shortly went into that. And then on the left side, we have our device, which is running the Greengrass service, orchestrating the workload that we run on the edge. At the same time, we built on top the cryptography service built on top of Parsec as this agnostic interface towards the security principles. And so, what we did here in these three steps is we first provisioned Parsec with a private key by signing with this AWS certificate manager, either with the provided keys from AWS, the certificates, or bringing your own certificate provider. This happens outside the context of the demo because that's dependent on the target environments you're working with. Once those those keys are secured, we build up this interface, cryptography interface, through a Java native interface towards the Greengrass components. Greengrass uses these components, this interface, to facilitate, to encrypt and secure and sign the communication over HTTP and MQTT. It also allows that user components, as I showed in the console there's built-in components up here and user components down there. Those user components can also consume the MQTT interfaces and also the delivery of binaries. So if you're provisioning a device, if you want secure provisioning the device and you're signing those device bills, you also can interface with Parsec directly. This means that if you need to move between different software or different hardware, you essentially can have the same experience across many different platforms. You can even have this run in the cloud, for instance, with a software embedded in crypto backend. And that allows, back to Mark's point, to actually develop without having to be bound to the hardware that you need. So you can actually develop your entire development workflow can happen not just with the same tools in a cloud native way, but also in the cloud. So just to wrap that up, what we went through is we had key provisions that were loaded into Parsec. Greengrass was installed and it had provisioned. We were we then visited the AWS console. We triggered deployment, and in that deployment, we showed how the MQTT and HTTP client, both those interfaces interface is consumed, the private key provided by the Parsec interface.
All right, a great demo, Dara. Thanks for walking us through the environment and showing us how easy it is to consume Parsec within the Greengrass ecosystem. And of course, the demo is done on one device, showcasing the end-to-end connection between Parsec, Root of Trust, and the Greengrass ecosystem. But obviously, this opens up the door to a number of devices, with Parsec abstracting the root of trust in the system and providing that common API to the Greengrass ecosystem. It really opens the door to all the devices that are part of the Parsec ecosystem with no impact to the software being developed in Greengrass. Now I'm inviting everybody here to join us as we build out new use cases in this space. And of course, together we can accelerate your deployments and reduce your maintenance cost with the help of Parsec and these tools that we're bringing together. So thank you very much.